Hello everyone. It's been a really long time since I've done a YouTube live, and I thought tonight would be a great time to do it because the topic just really makes sense. And I actually was just in the kitchen a few minutes ago and I was thinking to myself, okay, I'd really like a snack. And it's sort of, what should I have? First, I had some strawberries, then I had some hot chocolate, and then I found some chocolate chips for cookies that we were supposed to be making the other night. Actually, we did make them. And then I had some of those, and I was just like, okay, so I'm now like mindlessly putting crap in my mouth that I don't have to do. And so I know a lot of people run into this, and not even when it's late night, because right now it is 11:30 at night. But sometimes, people will start snacking, I don't know, maybe around 7 or 8 after they've finished dinner, and then they've gone and watched a little TV and chilled out a little. And the next thing you know, you're like standing in front of the refrigerator trying to find something to snack on. And, how do we keep from putting ourselves in that position where we're just mindlessly like snacking in the evening? Because those calories can add up. And before you know it, you've like put on 1 pound, and then you put on 2 pounds, and then it's 5 pounds, and then it's 10 pounds. And you're like, what in the world? I'm not really doing anything any different. And it's just adding in those extra calories at the end of the night when you're not going to be really doing anything but going to bed. Now, a lot of times I do stay up pretty late and I'll do a lot of other things, but it's not like I'm going to be out for run at midnight or 1 a.m. So you're not going to burn the kind of calories that you might normally burn during the day if you were to eat something that wasn't necessarily that healthy for you. But it's really hard at night. And so why do we even do that? Why does that happen? What's going on with that? And I hope people can hear me. I was just trying to make sure that my volume was up. But yeah, so what even gets us into this mode where we're just like mindlessly eating at night? And a lot of times it's boredom. We get really bored, and the show we're watching's not good. We don't really have anything that we're trying to do. And so it's just sort of like, well, I'm hungry. And we think we're hungry when really we aren't hungry. We're just bored. So that's part of it. Recognizing, why you're actually feeling like you need to go in and get something to eat. And it's like, oh, well, what am I doing? Why do I feel like I need to do that now of all times, at all times? And then the other thing, sometimes it's stress. Sometimes it's stress. And at the end of the day, you're just kind of worn out, like you're done. You've been through so much stuff the whole day. And you're just like, oh my gosh, I'm so tired. I can't do another thing. I don't want to talk to anybody. I just want to put my feet up. I just want something to eat. I know I just had dinner, but still, like you need all of that to sort of come down and rest and relax at the end of the day. And you're like, oh my gosh. Okay, yeah, that was her totally in the bathroom upstairs. But yeah, you're just like, okay, I had a really rough day. And so some people, when they have a really rough day, they exercise, they go for a run or they walk. Other people may be like, you know what, I need a drink because that is how bad the day was. And other people are like, maybe I need something to smoke. And other people might need other things that they probably shouldn't have either. But in any case, I mean, really and truly, stress is another one of those things that can tip us over the edge so that before you know it, you're eating something that you just really, at another time of the day or in another circumstance, you wouldn't even consider eating it. But because it's late at night and you've spent all day like doing stuff and making decisions, by the time you get to 11:30 or 11:35, which is what it is now, like your ability to be able to continue to make decisions, good decisions at that time of night, you're just sort of worn out, like your energy is gone, the amount of decision making that you're gonna, like how much are you really going to think through that? Okay, during the day, you might look at calories, you might look at the nutritional data on a package to actually see, and you'll go, oh no, I'm not eating that. It has way too much salt or way too many calories or way too much fat. But by the time you get to the end of the night, who looks at a nutritional label at midnight? If you're looking at a nutritional label at midnight, you're probably not going to eat it anyway. But for most people, that's not what they're doing. They're not even looking at that. It's just sort of, I'm getting it and I'm putting it in. I'm getting it and I'm putting it in. Like you aren't even really thinking about it. So really that's a lot of it, You're bored, you're stressed. And then sometimes, you're with other people or you're at an event or something. And normally you would not even consider having some sort of late night snack or extra appetizer or extra dessert or something like that. But in this case, because you're with other people and it's an event and maybe you haven't seen them in a while, or maybe it's a special occasion. And so you find yourself constantly in that situation. And so again, you're like, oh my gosh, I'm going to have some of this. And then I'm going to have some of that. And then before you know it, you've eaten and eaten and eaten. And again, it's a 1 pound here, 2 pounds there, 5 pounds, 10 pounds. A few years later, you're like, oh my God, what happened? You know? And you've been late night snacking. And yeah, and then what about just like getting in the true rest that you need? I think sometimes we're confusing. It's like the thirst thing too, because they say that that's usually part of the issue too, that we're not able to distinguish, or we don't do as good of a job distinguishing thirst from hunger. Like we don't do that very well. We just think something needs to go in the mouth and it's food. Okay. And that's probably not necessarily the case, We're not recognizing that, wow, what I really am is thirsty. What I really want is something to drink. And so yeah, we need to take a moment and think about think about that. Think about whether or not it's really hunger or whether or not it's really thirst. And then start to identify those cues. Like, yeah, when was the last time I actually had something to drink today? I'm probably thirsty and it's not hunger. And so therefore I don't need to be eating mindlessly and just racking up calories at the end of the day. I need to get me a cold glass of water, put it right there and work on that baby. Yeah, that would probably be very helpful. And then the other thing, a tip, in addition to like drinking something, another tip is to sort of um, you distract. Okay, so you want to create a distraction for yourself so that you're not then sitting there thinking, oh, wow, I would really prefer to have something to eat. I would like to have something to eat, maybe just a little snack or dessert. And hmm, how do you not do it? Well, try to distract yourself. What if you started every evening saying, you know what? I think at around that time when I normally start thinking about that snack, maybe about 15 minutes before that, I'm going to start meditating, or I'm going to start reading, or I'm going to start calling my accountability partner, or I'm going to start like doing some yoga or stretching or something. And anything that you feel like you can do on a regular basis that would help distract you from like mindlessly eating and late night snacking so that you're not doing that. But yeah, So that is truly one way that you can look at trying to do something so that you can minimize that and the impact of that. And so, yeah, so that's what I did tonight. I said, you know what? I think I'm gonna like go on YouTube and talk about this because this is an issue I just had. Like, this just happened to me. I was sitting here, um, got some work things that I'm gonna do, and I got a little sidetracked and I was thinking that I needed a snack. And we had gone to a new Harris Teeter grocery store that had opened up, and I did really good because I really wanted to get some blue chips and some Holloman salsa, and I got neither. And then we went to Target, and I wanted to get some Fiber One protein bars, but they don't have the kind that I like anymore, and so I didn't. But then I came back home and I was just like, "Oh, well, I still want something." And so I went in there and I got something. And so, it would have been really good if I had distracted myself earlier so that I wouldn't have done that. Because then I had the extra calories and now they're in here and there's nothing I can do about it. They're gonna be there until they're digested. And just to let you know, this is like my new outfit that I got. And so I'm doing a video on that. Actually, that will probably go up in a few hours, not too long after this one. But yeah, so the whole distraction technique can work, especially if it's something that you know you're going to do. So like, don't come up with any sort of distraction that you're not going to want to do. Like, don't say, "Hey, I'm going to start reading every night," if you know reading's not your thing. Um, or don't say, "I'm going to stretch every night," when you know that like you're never going to do that every night. Find something that works, that you can do on a consistent basis so that it interrupts that pattern all the time. And you can um if you can recognize like when that's happening, and you can say, "You know what, it generally happens like every night at around 8 o'clock, or every night, after I've had dinner and I've put the kids to bed, and then I sit back down and relax, I start feeling the need for something then." Like, sort of build your regimen around that so that then it's, "Oh, okay, well, after I put the kids to bed, then I immediately go in the bathroom and start my, I don't know, my nighttime facial routine or something, and start to build that as part of the schedule, just like, bathing the kids and getting the kids ready for bed." And so you interrupt that pattern that you used to have and you make a new pattern. And every time you do that new action, then that pattern starts to sort of cement itself into your brain, and that's what you're thinking about. My phone keeps dinging. But that helps you sort of get into the mode of doing that every single time. So then you're distracted, right? Once you've set that schedule, you're like, "Oh," and before you know it, you will find that you're less likely to be thinking about snacking, right? And so, whatever your thing is, so like I said, it could be that you're changing your nighttime routine. It could be that you're checking in with an accountability partner. Like I said, it could be that you are adding in a new exercise, something minimal at night that's going to help relax you and get you ready for bed. But yeah, and so once you start to do, especially the exercise thing, because you're like, who's gonna want to like ruin that? It's like, "Oh, wait, I went in and I did my stretches and I did my this and I did, a few light weights." Well, I don't want to go mess that up by eating something that's not really good for me, right? I don't want to like, what would have been the point, if I'm then gonna go and just not just not do well after that and make decisions that are not in my best interest. So my daughter's in the kitchen. I'm wondering what she's doing in there. Sounds like maybe she's cleaning something up. She could be doing. But yeah, so distraction is one of those key techniques that you can use to sort of get yourself out of this sort of rut of, I'm always coming in and I'm always feeling like at this point in time, I want to have something. What do I do, Sheila? And these are, again, just like tips and strategies to sort of help us all, because we're all running into different sorts of issues when it comes to like trying to make really good decisions about health and fitness and nutrition. And, one of the other things, so distractions, obviously, one of those techniques. Um, One of the other things you can think about doing is, well, hey, maybe sometimes you are a little hungry. Because think about it, suppose you eat at like 5:30, but you don't go to bed until like 11:30 or midnight. Around about 10 or so, you might actually start to be feeling a little bit of hunger there. It might really be hunger. And so, distraction, while it might be a thing that you can do if you're really hungry, then you might want to think about handling that a different way. And instead, it's more of, okay, well, how do I make good choices if I'm going to have something and it's that late and I'm tired and I'm worn out and I don't have the energy to make good choices at midnight, because that's what they say. You make your worst choices when you're like tired and don't have the energy to make good choices. So yeah, so that's when you want to be like prepared and you want to have like your nighttime snacks like ready to go. And so it's like, I got my go-to. So I think I read somewhere that President Obama, like at around 7 or something like that, like his snack was 7 almonds, like not 10, not 8, and not just a handful. Like it was like 7 almonds or something like that. And so if you think about it, almonds have good fats in them. They have a lot of protein in them. I mean, totally natural, unless, you bought something that has a lot of stuff on it and preservatives and stuff. And so overall, if you're just eating like true raw almonds without a whole bunch of stuff on them, that's actually a really healthy choice. What you want to do is make sure you keep your portion size down. And so yeah, so like I said, that first tip is distraction. That second one is, hey, maybe you're hungry. So what are the good food choices that I can have? And so yeah, if you're like President Obama, you can have 7 almonds. Or maybe you can have a cheese stick, or I mean, and so if you have something around, if you've got your go-to items, then hey, it's less likely that you're going to make like really bad decisions. Because like I said, it's late, you're tired, we're all tired, we should be in the bed. And what you can do is to say, hey, I think I'm going to make some better choices here. And how am I going to do that? Well, I'm going to make sure I have a good stash of late night snacks and they are ready to go and they're already portioned out and they're good for me. And so, yeah, that can really help too. So, yeah, so those are 2 tips that you can use to figure out, what will work best for you when you're thinking about how am I going to stop like eating at night. The other thing too is depending upon how late it is, it may just be that it's time to go, just go to bed. When my father was younger, his family didn't have a lot of money. His father had died when he was really young, and his mother was disabled. And so they really did not have a lot of money. And, so a lot of nights they were hungry. And so what do? You go to sleep. And that's what he said. He said they would just go ahead and go to bed because, otherwise you're up and you're just thinking about the fact that you're hungry. If you go to bed, then you're going to sleep and you don't have to think about it until you wake up. Um, so yeah, that's an option. But yeah, again, recognizing again the difference between, is this really hunger or maybe it's just time for me to go to bed. And that's one of the things I've sort of noticed about myself too. The longer I stay up, the more I'm going to need a snack because I tend to get up at around 5 in the morning And so, I'm ready to have dinner at like 5:30. If I'm not eating by like 5:30, I'm starving. I'm ready to like gnaw off my arm or leg or something. And so, yeah, so that's the other thing there. Oh, oh wow, I've been like talking for like 20 minutes. Unbelievable. So yeah, so anytime you're thinking about, hey, should I have a snack? You can think about the distraction. You can think about having good foods, or you can think about, hey, maybe it's just time for me to go to bed and have some good dreams and wake up in the morning and start over fresh. And, maybe that's the way to do things. So I hope those three tips helped you out. And instead of snacking tonight, maybe one of those tips will help you so that you're not mindlessly eating like I was mindlessly eating earlier. And I'm going to start doing more evening live streams and just sort of going through some tips. And if you're out there, feel free to check in with me. And if you've got some topics that you want to hear me talk about, then let me know. You can leave them in the comments and say, hey, Sheila, here's a topic I'd love to see you chat about, and just let me know and we can discuss it, because there are lots of questions out there. There are lots of conversations that we can have around health and fitness and trying to lead this sort of wellness lifestyle. So have a good evening. And if you're watching this during the day, watching this after the live stream, then take care and check in with us soon. Bye.